Hey, ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of a stock market sell-off, I think I have found potentially what is the greatest trade of 2022, where you could almost guarantee yourself a 17% return. Though there is no such thing as a guarantee, this is going to be the closest thing to it in my humble opinion, and it is why I'm analyzing the acquisition like a hawk between Microsoft and Activision. We're going to break that down, but first we're going to roll back because a lot of you have been asking me some interesting questions and joking with me about, why the Oculus might be a complete joke and VR is just hype. We're going to talk a little bit about some questions surrounding Bitcoin, and a lot of you have been asking me why I choose US exchange traded funds over the Canadian counterparts. So we're going to do so much in this video. It should be very educational. If it's something you appreciate, damn, all I ask in return is that you hit that like button, because it's not like any of this is costing you any money. But first and foremost, folks, let's talk about the broader market, because obviously it's hard to define if we're in a crash or a full-on correction just yet, but I noticed that Investopedia defined a stock market crash as a rapid and often unanticipated drop in stock prices. A stock market crash can be a side effect of a major catastrophic event, economic crisis, or a collapse of long-term speculative bubble. Recreationary public panic about a stock market crash can also be a major contributor to it, inducing panic selling that depresses prices even further. And a stock market crash can usually be defined as about a very rapid 10% sell-off in the broader markets. The S&P is down 8.31%, the Nasdaq down 13.04%, and the Dow Jones is down about 6.8%. Now, I'm still saying that we've seen a bubble bursting amongst the retail audience in the more speculative aspects of the market, but I want to pass that question on to you. Do you think this is a correction? Do you think we're in a full-blown crash or a bubble deflating? I'd love to know your thoughts heading into one of the most pivotal earnings seasons we've had in the last year and a half, 2 years since that March 2020 crash. But let's get right into this, folks, with some of the Q&As real quick, because some of you have been poking fun at me, and this gentleman here basically said people who are buying the Metaverse hype might end up being the real idiots. Just like the 3D video hype, no one cares about it. Eventually, people prefer to live in the reality than a fake world. Somebody replied, this is kind of funny, you're on the Metaverse right now. A Metaverse is just a different way of thinking about the internet. And he says, not quite. Putting on the headgears like the one Zuckerberg is promoting is a fad that will die as quickly as it starts. The average people would rather live in reality. So first and foremost, I think we have to distinguish these conversations, because the metaverse is directly related to anything on the internet, cryptocurrency, your social media account, literally anytime you're just on some form of digital platform can be defined as you representing yourself through the metaverse. But I think he is more critical of the Oculus headset and some of the virtual reality stuff. And honestly, the reason that I'm so intrigued by this, guys, is this stuff isn't new. I mean, this has been around for a long time, and it's been getting Google search traffic since 2013 when the Oculus came out. It bottomed out from interest in 2018, at which it's just been gaining more and more traction leading into 2022, and it's getting more attention from Google traffic right now than even the Sony PlayStation, and that's why I'm so intrigued by it all. And I'm really worried it could potentially be a fad. I'm still using this thing. I'm waiting to see when I get bored of it, but honestly, guys, it doesn't matter. None of that matters, because none of it's priced into Facebook stock. Facebook is trading purely off its underlying business of advertising through its social media platforms. You are literally getting the entire metaverse and this future forward-looking stuff they're working on at no cost, in my humble opinion. That is why I think Facebook is the cheapest S&P top 10 stock, and why it shouldn't be underlooked, because if they get into NFTs and cryptocurrency, and I think Mark Zuckerberg sees the real future of what the value of this is, and so do I, so that's why I buy it. But that's just my humble opinion. You don't have to agree with it. Let's talk about the next question here. Can you please make a detailed video on how Canadians can invest in Bitcoin, step-by-step process? I mean, what broker do you use? Is it safe? Look, I'm going to do this in about 30 seconds to a minute here. I'm going to explain to you exactly how I do it. Now, you might want to watch some more videos that expand on these platforms. I don't think I need to do it personally, but first and foremost, download yourself an Exodus wallet. A lot of people don't understand you want a wallet from the blockchain, which is going to give you a 12 to 24 phrase words, and you're going to take those different words and you're going to write them down, because that's your backup code in case you destroy your phone or your computer where you've downloaded your Exodus wallet. That's the only protective key to back this stuff up, to make sure you never lose your money. But that's what you're going to do first and foremost. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to one of the trading platforms, and if you're smart, you'll realize even these trading platforms recommend you make your own wallet, because you do not own your Bitcoin when it sits on the exchange. But this is Canada's premier exchange, in my opinion. It's called Shakepay. You're going to come in here. It might take a few days to set up an account and verify yourself, but all you have to do is hit add funds, and you're going to do an Interact e-transfer, because it costs $0 to Interact e-transfer them, and usually within 5 to 15 minutes that money gets deposited in your wallet, and you can quickly exchange it for Bitcoin. From there, what you're going to do is you're going to send that Bitcoin to your wallet address in Exodus. And you can look up tutorials on this. I'm not going to spend like 20 minutes breaking this down. A lot of information out there between these two platforms. But if you want to make a quick $30 for free and you're planning on depositing more than $100, use the link in the description below. And then you're also going to get access to Shake Stats, where you can log in. It's a promotion. Shake your phone every day, get free Bitcoin. Talked about this a lot in the past. Moving on to the next question here. Kyle, I am curious to why you buy VOO versus VFV. I was thinking it's somewhat easier to go VFV since it's Canadian cash. I am in Canada and my go-to ETF is VFV. Everything else I own is a mixture of US and Canadian dividend grower stocks. My portfolio is quite similar to your portfolio. Your channel is very entertaining and I appreciate your openness. I really appreciate that. This is a question that comes up so much. Here is why I always keep my US dollars in US accounts and why I would always rather buy the pure VOO over VFV. And for those of you US viewers that don't know, VFV is the exact replication of VOO. It comes from Vanguard. It's the S&P 500, but it's done through Canadian dollars, and I don't like Canadian dollars. If you take a look at the Canadian chart here, guys, I mean, back in 2016, or going from a 2011 when it peaked, but it kind of went on for about a few years there. But leading into 2016 from the peaks, even up till now, the Canadian dollar is down about 25% over the last 10 to 15 years. This is extremely unappealing to me. And when we go look at the US dollar index, guys, if this thing can roll out, let's take a look at let's just take a look at the last three. Actually, let's go all time. If we take a look at the all-time US dollar index here, guys, much more stable. The thing is here, guys, is Canadian dollars, you do not want all your money in one currency. I know US and Canadians, you kind of get caught in your Western bubble here and you keep forgetting there's a global economy going on. You do not want to have to constantly convert everything, every asset you own to a single currency. It's highly risky, and I think it's very inappropriate for those that are kind of lazy, that don't understand or want to do the effort required to make sure their money is coming from multiple sources. I keep all my US dollars in USDs. I can pull them out of my bank, out of my trading platforms into US accounts and buy things with those US dollars. I never plan on converting them back and forth. So therefore, I don't want to own a VFV because I want the pure US counterpart that pays me in US dollars. And it's just the easiest thing to do. And all you have to do is call your broker and say, I want US accounts. And they can replicate in your TFSA or RSP a US counterparted account, which is all I do because that's why I own, let's say, Pepsi, Johnson & Johnson, and the VOO inside my registered retirement savings plan. And it's all done through US dollars. So I just don't like being exposed to one currency. It's just the way it is, guys. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting conversation to be had, but I think it's more appropriate this way because you get charged for conversions. Like, it's another thing people forget. Every time you're converting currency, you're getting charged. So if you're going to own US stocks, why not leave it in US dollars? So let's get into Activision Blizzard here, guys. So this deal, one of the most incredible setups. This kind of reminds me so much of SPACs. Now, SPACs are getting wrecked right now, but people forget the deal structure that made them so intriguing initially, because SPACs were basically holding accounts where you give them your money, they put it in a bank, and unless they make an acquisition, guess what? You get your money back. And typically the way that worked is the deal was set around $10 per unit in a SPAC offering, and those $10 usually include some warrants. So the downside risk was the warrants, which made up about 5% of that float. So if the deal didn't go through, you'd get literally all of your money back minus 5%, right? So that's why it made it so intriguing, because if a SPAC was running up pre-going public, you could literally sell out of it with the only downside risk of being your closest purchase price to that $10 a share. So if you were buying it at unit price, you did very well with no downside risk. I hope that kind of made sense, because that's what I think is going on with Activision Blizzard here. Not only is Activision Blizzard an incredible company, guys, their buyout price is well above the current share price. Now, the Activision Blizzard deal is set to be around $95 a share, which is $68.7 billion is the offering that's currently on the table. Presume the regulators approve it, which is probably most of the risk, right? And how long does this deal take? It's estimated, I would estimate it's 12 to 18 months. I would presume that this will happen within the next year, but there's a good chance it bleeds off into 2023. But the reason that this is so intriguing, guys, is that at $95 a share, we are at $81.35. You do a little bit of math, that's a 16.78% difference. So if this gets bought out, what's going to happen is you're going to get paid a shared dividend. Essentially, Microsoft's going to take over the business. They're going to buy you out at $95 a share, and that's just going to get deposited in your account as cash, because I don't think they're doing a share per share deal structure. So you're just going to get paid out in cash. And you could literally make an immediate 17% return with the 0.58% dividend Activision already offers if this deal goes through, which I honestly think it is. It's probably going to be one of the greatest deals Microsoft has ever set up. And guess what? If it doesn't go through, what are we buying? An incredible company at a pretty decent price, I might say. Activision has been growing excessively. Again, in the metaverse, video game players make more money now at competitions than Olympic athletes do. So I think that's important to represent that. I don't think video games are going anywhere. But you look at the growth, guys. We can scroll this down. Very stable. It looks like it's been kind of downtrending a little bit over the last few quarters, but very stable company with hit titles that I still currently play to this day, like Call of Duty and Zombies and things of that nature. So this is such an intriguing setup that you literally get this idea of owning a fundamental business that, yeah, if the deal doesn't go through, I'd still be happy holding this into the long term. They've gone through a lot of I wouldn't say political bullshit, internal bullshit that has to do with, obviously, the environment between their staff, which they're going through lawsuits on right now. But this deal, guys, you're getting this at a discounted price. It's a fundamental business I don't think is going anywhere. It trades for a pretty reasonable valuation, probably a little overvalued, but a reasonable valuation. And if this thing gets bought out, you make an immediate 17% return. And why I'm watching this like a hawk is because this thing has been downtrending with the market. So if this thing can just drop off, and we can see like another, if this thing gets back into the 70s, this is probably the most intriguing buy of the entire year. I mean, you could make almost a 20% return if this gets back into the 70s if that deal falls through. And in the meantime, you're going to get paid to wait and you're going to own a great company. I mean, I can't get over this deal structure. So I'm going to be watching this and updating you guys on whether I actually buy into this or not, but it's definitely at the top of my buy list, along with Facebook, Tesla, and the Vanguard S&P 500 index, because guys, it's just not often deals like this will come around. So pay attention to it. Don't underlook it. Many of you might not be into trading, but even long-term investors can appreciate a company like Activision Blizzard. At this point, I pass the question off to you. What do you guys think about all of this in that comment section below? I'd love to hear about it, but stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you in the next one.